These are nuggets of wisdom that if I could go back, how many of you, if you have any amount of years under your belt, you think of the things that you could go back and share with your younger self? If you could take a time machine back and talk to your younger self, what are some of the things that you would share with that younger, more naive person? Well, that is what I am striving to do this week, as I bring you 5 fitness lessons that took me more than 30 years to learn. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer, where armor is forged through mental, spiritual, and physical preparation. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer. I am your host, Carl Wimmer, and I thank you again for joining me this week for another episode. What an honor and a pleasure it is to have you with us again as we strive to bring you some of the best information on the internet when it comes to health and fitness and strength and longevity, especially for those of you on the front lines, you first responders. I want to encourage you first and foremost, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We would love to have you so you don't miss any episodes each and every week. Also, if you find value in these, give it a thumbs up and share these with your friends and family. That helps us with the algorithm, and we are getting so close to that 1,000 subscriber mark. We would love to get that pushed over the edge. So make sure you share this episode and like it and subscribe. Just honored to have you with us, and I want to talk to you about a very important thing this week. And so kick back, relax, wherever you are watching this, whatever you are doing. Maybe you're on an elliptical machine or a treadmill right now, or perhaps you're just listening to it and you're driving to work. Whatever your case may be, I want to share with you some important information that, honestly took me 35 years to learn. These are nuggets of wisdom that if I could go back, how many of you, if you have any amount of years under your belt, you think of the things that you could go back and share with your younger self? If you could take a time machine back and talk to your younger self, what are some of the things that you would share with that younger, more naive person? Well, that is what I am striving to do this week, as I bring you 5 fitness lessons that took me more than 30 years to learn. If I could go back and talk to myself, I would have saved myself a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, both personally and physically, and I would have been able to really cut down on the frustration that I have had to face throughout my decades of being involved in fitness and in weightlifting. So without further delay, let's jump right in to number 1, the number 1 lesson that I would teach my younger self. And that is, don't become obsessed. I am an obsessive person. When I set a goal in my life, I will do almost anything to accomplish that goal. I don't know if you're like that or not. I say that, and I don't say it as a badge of honor. I actually say it more to my shame and detriment, because when I become obsessed with a particular thing, everything else just kind of fades away and gets in the way and becomes static. I am so laser focused on whatever my particular goal is that even a phone call from a friend out of the blue becomes an annoyance because it interferes with my routine. It interferes with my obsession. That is not healthy. When I first got into training, I thought obsession was a good thing until it almost wrecked me. You see, I was obsessed with powerlifting, there was nothing I would not do to add another literally 2 kilos to the bar, to the bench press bar. If I could just add 5 more pounds, my bench press was no longer 580, it was now 585. Just 5 more pounds. It just meant so much to me. I was chasing those numbers, and frankly, I was never satisfied. I was so obsessed with my desire to be stronger, my desire to move more weight, that my family suffered because of it. And you young men who are listening to this, as I talk about this, I want this to be a cautionary tale, not something to emulate. This is not something I'm proud of, but here is the facts. If I have a workout scheduled on a holiday, let's say it was Christmas, I would wake up at 5 a.m. and I would work out before the kids got up so that I could get my workout in on Christmas Day. If I didn't, rest assured, something was going to give and I was going to work out that day. If I had a workout scheduled, I did the workout. I was so inflexible that it really did irritate my wife justifiably. It got to the point where I pushed my body so hard, so to the extreme, that when I would get injured, my wife didn't have much sympathy for me. I clearly, and I don't blame her, because I was doing this to myself. I was one of those guys that always say, oh, babe, I'd rather wear out than rust out. Okay. And that sounds good. Right? I mean, nice platitude, nice statement, nice motto. I want to live like no one else so I can live like no one else. Whatever. Throw all these ridiculous gymisms at her. And at the same time, I was destroying myself. I was injuring myself. I was hurting myself because I was pushing myself to the extreme. I'll never forget one time, me and my powerlifting crew, we were out in the front of my house and we were doing, I think we were either pushing or pulling my Suburban up and down the street. We had a harness and we were pulling the Suburban or pulling or pushing. And I tore my calf muscle and I tore it good. Man, did it hurt. And I limped home and I went limping into the house, laid on the couch, and my wife comes up to me and she looks at me and she's like, yeah, garbage needs to go out. You know, she had no mercy because she was just sick of me beating myself up. I've told you the story of when we were doing dumbbell presses, me and my weightlifting crew in my basement. We worked out in my basement because we had been kicked out of a popular gym for bending the bars and being too noisy or whatever, and we just couldn't power lift there, so we worked out in my basement. And we were doing dumbbell presses, and I had 120-pound dumbbells, and we were pressing them. And the guy that had gone before me had set his dumbbells down, but we didn't move them to the side. So when I was done and I flung them to the ground, that finger got smashed between the handle of my dumbbell and the bell of the one that was on the ground. And it exploded, split my finger and exploded tissue and fat nodules out of the finger. And instead of being smart and going to the doctor immediately, I just went upstairs, got a popsicle stick, I taped my finger up, and I finished my workout with that finger in the air. Then I went to the doctor and got a couple stitches in the finger. At the end of the day, being obsessed won me the world championship in powerlifting a few times. It also, it caused permanent disabilities that I have to this day. I fractured my spine. Part of the fracture of that spine caused a spinal cord injury in my neck. I'll never forget how severe it got to where my foot would just flop on the ground when I would walk. I was partially paralyzed in one leg and never knew if it was going to come back. I didn't have a reflex in my leg or in my ankle. I had no knee reflex or ankle reflex. The nerves were damaged severely. There were multiple things that got me back to where I am now, but the fact is I had to retire from powerlifting, and to this day, a decade or so later, after fracturing my spine, I suffer from the consequences of that. My hands are numb 100% of the time. I have tremors in the morning when I wake up. I have a type of palsy that gives me very unusual muscular imbalances. If I ever post pictures of me without a shirt on, you'll notice my left tricep is significantly smaller than my right because it atrophied to the point where it was almost gone. There's a portion of one of my biceps that appears to be missing. You don't notice that as much. My left pec has suffered tremendously compared to my right. I have muscular imbalances that are quite obvious and easy to tell for me. Others don't notice them as much. Either way, I lived with these permanent disabilities and this permanent palsy brought on by being obsessed. Passion is good. you've got to be passionate. Consistency, dedication, discipline. I sit here and talk about discipline all the time, but obsession without balance burns you out, or worse, it wrecks you. It destroys you. Fitness should be a part of your life, but not your whole life. Do you understand that? I would tell myself that. If I could tell myself that fitness and strength should definitely be a part of my life, but not my entire life, perhaps I wouldn't be suffering some of the side effects that I have today. I want you to train hard. I want you to recover even harder. And remember, the relationships and health outlast your bench press or your six-pack. Number 2 of the top 5 things that took me over 30 years, top 5 fitness tips that took me over 30 years to learn, is to make fitness a family endeavor. Man, now me and my daughter, we have worked out together since she was basically in 4th grade. Me and my boys, we would work out together, but it was really hit or miss. I would go to the gym, they would stay home. I would go downstairs and they always stayed upstairs. It was not a family thing. It was something that divided us more than unified us. For years, I treated the gym as my thing until I realized that I was just building my own little kingdom. What good was it? What good is my own kingdom, living in my own ivory tower without the people I love around me? Today, my wife and I are in it together. We are building and creating healthy meals every single day. We discuss longevity. We talk about heart health and brain health and neurodegenerative diseases. And we talk about exercise, and we talk about our victories. We talk about our defeats, and we're in it together. And it is so much fun being in this lifestyle with my wife. She goes on my morning walks with me and the dog now, and it's just great. It's no longer my thing. I am not going to ever allow my relationships to drift anymore because of some obsessive fitness idea. Now it is a family endeavor. My daughter, of course, has carried this on. She is a kinesiologist, a personal trainer. She is a very fit person. My boys, they're both in the fire service, and thus they are strong and fit, and they stay in shape. Fitness is something that gets passed on from parent to child. So is obesity. And so I would just encourage you, make fitness a family endeavor. When your loved ones feel included in your fitness and in your health and in your gym time, fitness becomes more sustainable. It stops being a me versus them, a you versus them, and it turns into we're in this together. And that is awesome. Wish I would have done this a long time ago, because it's enjoyable to work out with your kids. It's enjoyable to work out with your wife. Now, we're pretty much empty nesters at this point, but I worked out with the kids quite a bit. But just to have my wife involved now, it's become our thing. Now the kids have moved out and they're doing their thing. My wife and I have our thing. And our thing is fitness, health, longevity, so that we can stay fit for our grandkids that are on their way. First one is going to be born this month. I'm going to be grandpa, first responder fitness grandpa. The first responder fitness family is growing. I want to be there for a long time for these grandkids. And so my wife and I are in it together. We celebrate our wins and we work together. You should do the same thing. If your fitness journey leaves your loved ones behind, you've already lost. Okay? Understand that. So if your fitness journey leaves your loved ones behind, you have already lost at the game of life. Bring them along with you. It's so much funner. Lesson number 3 that took me forever to learn is that nutrition will make or break you. You've heard it said before, and I will say it again, and it will be said forever, because it is one of the immutable truths of fitness, is that you cannot out-train a bad diet. And believe me, I've tried. Now, when I was powerlifting, I didn't care so much. I ate whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I ate the house. It didn't matter. But when I started wanting to lose weight, when I wanted to start getting in shape, when hypertrophy and the way my body looked and being low fat and high muscle, when that started mattering to me, I thought I could out-train a bad diet. That is not possible. I don't care whether you're doing 2-hour lifting sessions or you're doing, like when I was on the SWAT team doing some serious SWAT level exercise and working out. When you go home and inhale a pizza, you have just undid everything. Understand this. Just because you go to the gym for 30 minutes in the morning does not mean that you have burned off that super sugar, high fat breakfast with the double caramel mocha, latte, frappe, whatever it is with the extra sugars and the extra thises. You haven't burned that off. You may burn 200 calories in your 30-minute cardio, and your Egg McMuffin is more than that. It's unfair. I know. The way the body works, you consume way more than you burn, and it takes you 2 minutes to eat what you can't burn off in even an hour's worth of cardiovascular exercise. And I know that's frustrating, but it's just the truth. That time that you were frustrated that you couldn't see your abs even though your training was on point, well, that's because your nutrition was not on point. Fat loss can only come and will only come when you are in a calorie deficit. Period. There is nothing more to say about this. If you are taking in more calories than you are burning, you will not ever lose fat. You can't. Understand that you live in a universe that is governed by immutable laws. Those laws are, as you know, the laws of thermodynamics, the laws that control energy. Calories is just a way that we humans name the energy that you get from food. You consume energy. And in a closed system like your body, if you don't exert that energy must be stored. It's not going to be destroyed. It must be used or stored. And if you don't use 2,000 calories worth of energy every day, 3,000 calories worth of energy every day, then the 3,500 calories you take in every day, the surplus will be stored, and it gets stored as what we call fat. Calorie surplus, you will gain weight. Calorie deficit, you will lose weight. Always, every time, 100% of the time. Nothing, no exceptions. It's not if you have a thyroid issue, if you have a hormone issue, if you have a this issue or that issue, none of that matters. What matters is calories in, calories out. Yes, thyroid issues make you more hungry. Yes, thyroid and hormone issues make it so you cannot work out as hard. You cannot work out as long. You spend more time sitting at home, you burn less calories. But at the end of the day, no matter what your medical condition, and I know this is a hard truth, no matter what your medical condition, if you take in less calories than if you consume less calories than you burn, you will always lose fat. And if you take in more than you burn, you'll always gain fat. Or muscle if you're in a lean bulk, like a very strategic, which is what I'm doing right now. Understand, performance and recovery require eating enough of the right foods, not starving yourself, but also not stuffing yourself. So you've got to make sure that your nutrition is on point. And here's a few practical tips. As you know, I run a program here at First Responder Fitness called the Habits to Healthy in 1 Year program. One of the things that we did right from the get-go was teach people to start tracking their food. I would encourage you to do so. Start tracking your food for 2 weeks. Download the chronometer or the chronometer app and start tracking everything you eat. I would say don't even cut what you're eating. Don't even worry about it. Just track it. It'll give you a reality gut check like you've never had before in your life. Start tracking everything you eat. You'll be shocked at how many more calories you're consuming than you think. So that's number one practical tip. Number two, start eating protein with every meal. Start prioritizing protein. The more protein you eat, the more satiated you are, the more fuel for your muscles. Bang for the buck, there is not a macro better than protein. So prioritize protein. And then the number one thing that I would recommend for everyone, and it worked for me, and it will continue to work, is don't drink your calories. Limit your liquid calories. I used to drink a ton of full sugar, full calorie soda, and I moved to diet sodas. Now, there's those that will argue, oh, that's worse for you. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Scientifically, there is zero research that backs up your theory that diet sodas are worse for you than full sugared sodas. Notwithstanding, I am not an advocate of diet sodas and zero-calorie sodas. I don't say, hey, go out and start drinking them. I do. It is my vice. However, by drinking diet sodas, I am taking in minimal calories with my fluids. Those of you that are drinking super duper massive big gulps every day are getting hundreds and hundreds of extra empty calories every day. Your sodas, your fancy coffees, your whatever it might be, your super keto fat drinks with butter and this and that are only serving to make you fatter because they have so many calories that you aren't burning. Training without good nutrition is like putting premium fuel into a car with a blown engine. It makes no sense. You're still not going anywhere real fast. Lesson number 4 is much related to lesson number 3, and it is avoid extreme diets. I have fallen for every extreme diet you could possibly think of. Before I was married, I was still living at home with my parents, and I bought the program called the anabolic diet. I believe that was, I don't want to misquote who it was, but I think it was Mario Di Pasquale. I could be wrong about that. And if I am, I apologize. I don't want to besmirch a good name, but the anabolic diet, which is just a fancy way of really, it was the keto diet before the keto diet was the keto diet. And we're talking the 1990s, the anabolic diet. And it was just eat meat, no carbs, eat meat, eat the double, triple Big Macs, but throw the buns away, eat whatever you want and as much as you want. I did the keto. I did intermittent fasting. I did the every other day diet. I ate one day and then I wouldn't eat the next day. And that worked for me to lose weight. How much of that weight was muscle? Well, probably a fair amount. I wasn't paying attention. I was just happy the scale was going down. Do not fall for extreme dieting nonsense. Ultimately, you won't stick with it. I know only maybe one person, 2 people in my entire life who have ever stuck with keto or an extreme diet for more than 5 or 6 or 10 years. Okay? You won't stick with it. I mean, my goodness, most people buy a gym membership January 1st and they stop going to the gym by the 3rd week in January. You really think you're going to stick with an extreme, crazy diet? No. You'll stick with it for a month or 2 or 3. Maybe if you're really motivated, you'll stick with it for a year. But you aren't sticking with it for much longer than that. Most people do not. And then they crash and they rebound and they gain more weight than they lost. I've done that before. Extreme restriction diets encourage binging and energy crashes. The core truth is this: the best diet is the one that you can stick with long term for the rest of your life. It's not even a diet. My wife and I eat clean, whole foods. We prioritize protein. We eat a whole lot of chicken. We love our food. We love our diet. We eat it every single day. We enjoy what we eat. And we do have a snack on occasion. We just enjoy it, and you will too. But you need to stick with something for the long term. Extreme plans can wreck your hormones. You want to talk about wrecking your hormones? Extreme dieting wrecks your hormones, can ruin your metabolism, and in many cases are terrible for your mental health. We at First Responder Fitness are not just interested in your physical fitness. We're interested in your mental fitness and your spiritual fitness, and you can wreck your mental health with extreme yo-yo dieting. I want to give you a couple tips here. Just practical tips for the extreme dieting. Start small. Swap sodas for water or low-calorie options. Tea, coffee, without all the stuff in it. Add vegetables to every single meal. Oh, wait, that's not carnivore. Yeah, I know. It's not, because carnivore for 95% of you is stupid. For some of you, okay, I understand. But for a majority of the population, the carnivore diet is stupid. And so you should add vegetables to every meal. Increase your protein intake. Those are some practical tips. Avoid plans, any plan that cuts out an entire food group forever. the paleo diet, the vegan diet, the this diet. Do not fall for extreme diets. They are a recipe for disaster. If you can't see yourself eating the way that you're eating, if you can't see yourself following a diet for 5 years, don't even start. If you don't think you could follow the bull testicle and liver diet like Liver King for the next 5 years, then leave the bull testicles to Brian Johnson. Okay? Just eat reasonably and rationally and avoid the extremes. Lesson number 5. And this is actually not one that I struggled with. This is one that I want you to learn. This is one I want the world to know, but it's one that I have always known from the very beginning. And it is this: consistency beats perfection. Consistency matters more than anything else. Understand this. When I was a world champion powerlifter, I was at work as a police officer. I was at work one time having a conversation with a guy, and he says, "How in the world do you bench press X amount of weight? You know, how are you benching nearly 600 pounds without drugs and without steroids and with all that jazz?" And he says, "I work out. I'm strong, but I'll never get that strong." And so I asked him to lay out his workout for me. He says, "Oh, you know, I'm really big on New Year's resolutions." He says, "So I start off and I'm big January, February, March, you know, great. I work out hard. And then, you know, something comes up and maybe I'll miss for a couple of weeks, but then I get back in it. And then I really get prepared for summer. I work out hard. And then summertime comes and I'm back. I'm at the beach. I'm at this, I'm there, I'm all over. And so I don't work out as hard during the summer. And, but then I pick it back up at the end of summer and into the fall. But then of course the holidays come and, you know, it's hit or miss during Thanksgiving and Christmas, that kind of thing." And I said, okay. So I said to him, "Listen, here's the thing. You just laid out your workout routine for me. I can tell you that in the last 10 years, I can count on both hands with fingers left over the amount of workouts I've missed. I don't miss. I consistently do not miss. If I am sick, I will still hit the gym where I can. If I have an injury to my left arm, I will work my right arm or I will work my legs. I can count," this is what I told him, "I can count on both hands with fingers left over the amount of workouts I've missed in 10 years. And I said, "Do you see the difference?" He said, "Yep, I'm not willing to do that." I said, "Perfect. I wouldn't have been either. You know, I shouldn't have been." But the fact is, consistency beats perfection or intensity. Think about the amount of times that you got a gym membership at the beginning of a new year, and you're so intense, you work your guts out, and you go home and you're so sore the next day, but you're motivated, so you're going. And that lasts, 3 weeks? And then you take the next 2 months off, and then you go back to the gym occasionally here and there. I would much rather you go into it a little softer. Just go in and enjoy your time, work out with friends, and stick to it for the rest of your life. Consistency. Progress comes from stacking hundreds and thousands of good enough days over a long period of time, rather than a few perfect days. Do you understand that? If you worked out 10 times in a year, and those 10 workouts, you work out once a month, all year. And those 12 workouts are on point, solid, scientifically perfect workouts. You will gain far less. You'll gain almost nothing, actually. You'll gain nothing, but maybe a little positive attitude. If you were compared to the person who goes in and stacks good enough workouts day in and day out, day after day after day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, for the rest of their life, the person that's doing the good enough yet consistent workouts will destroy the perfect worker outer who does it once a month. Do you understand that? Do you understand the logic behind that? Small wins make big victories. Small wins compound, just like small bad habits do. All good habits build massive victories. Rome wasn't built in a day. Your health's not going to be built in a day. It's going to take small, minor victories over and over and over and over. And again, that's why we created the Habits to Healthy in 1 Year program that I want to point you to. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're listening to this on Spotify, go to our homepage and click on the programs Habits to Healthy in 1 Year program. There's videos there. It will have a target on it, a black and red and white target. Watch those videos and start stacking healthful habits every single day. As far as practical tips go, let me just give you a couple. I want you to use the never miss twice rule. Okay. If you skip a workout because, kids are sick or you're not feeling well or something come up, that's fine. But never skip twice. Use the never miss your workouts twice in a row rule. Go ahead and skip one if you need to, but make sure that the next day you're back at it and you're hitting it hard. Same thing with nutrition. If you screw up and you eat an entire bag of Lay's potato chips, that doesn't mean you eat 2 or 3 of them. It means, I'm going to get back on proper nutrition tomorrow or immediately. Okay. Don't stack bad habits, stack good ones. So apply this consistent idea to your meals, to your training, and to your recovery. If you get one bad night of sleep, make sure you make it up the next night. Get a good night's rest. Focus on that and recover. Your body doesn't care if Tuesday's workout was perfect or not perfect. It cares that you're here next Tuesday. It cares that you're there next Thursday. And then again on Saturday, if you're working out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It cares that you're there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It cares that you're there 4 days a week, 5 days a week. It cares that you're consistent. Your body doesn't care about what day of the week it is. It cares that you're consistent. Do you understand? So important. And it also doesn't matter if you go and you have a bad workout, any time working out, even if it's a low energy workout, is a victory. It's a victory, a physical victory and a mental victory. Of course, that's assuming you're not burning yourself out and burning up both ends of the candle and you have not. So how do we wrap this up? If you remember nothing else from this episode, I want to encourage you to remember this. Fitness is a marathon. It's a marathon you run for the rest of your life. Don't burn out. Be consistent. Bring your loved ones along with you. Eat like you mean it. Eat consistently good foods, wholesome foods. Don't eat like a pig. Okay? Eat smart. Stay away from extremes. Extremes in lifting, extremes in diets. The extremes, let the crazies handle the extremes. You're in this for health, fitness, and longevity. And above all, keep showing up. Consistency beats perfection every single time. If one of these lessons hit home to you, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. And if you want me to do a deep dive into the worst diet advice on the internet, send me a DM or comment below. I would love to talk more about diet and nutrition. That'll be a fun one. Until then, I'm Carl Wimmer with First Responder Fitness, reminding you as I do every week, be good to yourself, be good to others, and as always, stay safe.